Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Okay, welcome back. Well, buckle your seatbelts. That's all I can say. Buckle them real tight. We are delighted to have with us back today a gentleman who hosts a show that you see pretty regularly every weeknight on theDove TV at 9 o'clock, a program entitled Wretched. Todd Friel's with us. Yes, he does. He leaps tall buildings. He runs faster than locomotives, flies faster than an F-16, and I have no idea what he puts on his cereal in the morning. I'm here to find that out. Hi, Todd.
Honey, and then I freeze them. Have you ever had grape nuts with honey on top, and then you freeze them because grape nuts aren't loud enough? Oh, that is good eating. A bowl of that before you go to bed every night. You'll get a lot done the next day.
Is there caffeine in your menu at all?
A little bit.
How you doing, friend? Good to see you.
I'm really good. You know what I have not caught on to are those little bottles of, well, I think it's liquid crack is what it is that they sell at the gas station. Do you know that there are some of those that actually have alcohol in them?
Yeah. And
kids are buying them because the clerk sometimes doesn't know that these little energy drinks are actually loaded with booze.
Yeah, I know. Good to see you. By the way, your program's terrific. Thanks for making it available. We're honored to carry it. Your new set, I am jealous. I shouldn't be, but I am.
Yeah, we are loving our new set. I got to tell you, we just really, really like it. We're able to get so much done.
Oh, good for you. Well, there's a lot of talk. Boy, you're all over the place on everything. What do you see the key interest today? What's ringing your bell?
Well, I'm all over the place because I have a short attention span. And just to let you parents know, your child can find a job with ADHD. It can be done.
He can become a television host.
Now, you can pretty much just bounce all over the place.
Yeah.
Always hoping your child. Yeah. Hey, actually, that is sort of something that we've been talking about lately, is the issue of anxiety.
Right.
Don't know if you realize this. It's been a few months now. The DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, it's a secular psychiatry manual that's designed to diagnose you and your children with virtually anything they consider to be a tic or anything that they don't think is natural as some sort of psychiatric issue. And we've just created a product called Anxiety because we've been talking about how there's actually a biblical solution for anxiety. So that's something that we've been talking about a lot.
What is it? What's your biblical solution?
Well, first of all, I think because of the confusion these days, we need to understand our terms. Depression is a relatively modern term. The Bible doesn't use the word depression. That's more of a this generation kind of term. So I'm not talking about a very real, mostly rare issue that some people have where they just feel heavy. Mm-hmm. It feels like they wake up in the morning and they literally cannot get out of bed because of a heaviness, of a deep sense of darkness. Mm-hmm. That's depression, and that is real, but I think it's rare. Most of us suffer with a term that Jesus uses, and that is the term anxiety, where we're fretting about tomorrow. Well, what happens if the kids have to take the core curriculum at school? And what if they don't get a good GPA? And what if the school isn't accredited? And what if my husband loses his job? What if my wife leaves me? All of those fretting about tomorrow, that is biblical anxiety. And Jesus actually identifies and diagnoses our problem in John chapter 14, verse 1. He says, don't be anxious, believe in me. So we see a contrast. Don't be anxious. That's the problem. That's the sin. Here's the cure. Believe in me. Mm-hmm. And then back in Matthew chapter 7, when Jesus says, you're worrying about tomorrow, you're fretting about things that you have no control over. Oh, you of little faith.
Right.
So Jesus diagnoses our problem as actually a faith issue. What that means could be one of two things. We either have little faith in him, or we are putting our faith into something little. And that can happen to us Christians a lot, where instead of trusting our God who created the universe, who parted a Red Sea, who sent his son to die on a cross, rise from the dead, we actually start putting our faith in, are you ready for this? ourselves.
Yes.
That's why we worry, because we're trusting our own strength, our own thinking, our own finances, and we are worried about tomorrow because inside we recognize we really can't do anything about it. So Jesus actually identifies our anxiety problem is a faith problem.
Wow. Well said. Now, hey, you put out a DVD on this, right?
Yes, sir, we did.
How do people get it?
Wretched.tv is where we have it. It comes with a study guide that is written to work through Bible verses in a gentle, loving way. It's a DVD, and it's a study guide that you can go through. Jesus actually said, I pray that you will have the joy that is in me. In other words, our God is a joyful God, and he wants us to experience that joy on a daily basis and not be biting our nails perpetually. And he provides a biblical cure for us. And this is so helpful, Perry. When Jesus diagnoses our anxiety issue as a faith issue, our anxiety, our emotional challenge starts with our faith. Then our faith informs our thinking. And so we need to work on having our minds renewed, transformed, and then our emotions follow our thinking and our faith. And so if we can get our faith right and our thinking right, then our emotions and our actions will follow that. And there is absolutely a biblical solution for constantly being anxious.
Yeah. Well, thanks for making that available. Boy, there's a lot of issues here, Todd. Before I get a break, let me ask you about, we just had Monday in the state of Oregon. I don't know if you covered it on your show, but we had a federal judge overturn the law of the land, the will of the people, and approving gay marriages. And of course, instantly they took place. Now, this issue is big and it's extremely controversial. And in some ways, I think the church doesn't have an antidote to homosexuality. We haven't really addressed this well, and realizing that Christ died for them too, but they don't believe that. And now this in the state of Oregon, it's back in our face. There's several issues here. One, the will of the people was thwarted. Two, we have a state attorney general that didn't even defend the case before the judge. And three, and I think most importantly, this now is going to flood the public schools, and I am worried about children who are going to be exposed to this as being normal. How are you dealing with this on your show?
Well, we're trying to recognize that these are societal issues that are important, and then try to ask the questions, how now do we Christians respond?
Right.
And I would encourage those Christians who are desiring to engage on those issues because it's a loving of your neighbor. You do those things and you focus on those things. But for the rest of us, we've already been given a mandate. Whether somebody is gay or straight, if they are lost, our mandate is to go and make disciples. And I know this, if that judge had been a born-again Christian, and if that attorney general had been a born-again Christian, and if those homosexuals were born again, we wouldn't be dealing with this issue the way that we are. I think the solution is evangelism, changing hearts, changing faith. You change their thinking, you change their actions, you change the culture.
Do you think the church is ready to reach out to the homosexual community?
You know, boy, Perry, that's really probing question. That's a really deep question. Mm-hmm. And I think overall, no, we're not. Okay. And I hate to say it, but I think the reason is I don't think that we're understanding their plight. I don't think we're understanding their situation. I don't know that we're remembering how lost we were, how lost they are. And I think overall, the Christian church has forgotten the gospel is not a life enhancement message. It is to save people from the wrath of God. And when we forget the plight of the ungodly, we're not inclined to evangelize. We don't have as much compassion as we should. When we forget that God sent Jesus for the glory of himself, we aren't all that motivated to witness. So I think the systemic problem inside of the Christian church is a failure to comprehend the foundation of our faith, and that is the gospel.
Boy, that is beautifully said, Todd. I commend you on that, because I'm really trying to help all of our attitudes realize, all right, you know, the average homosexual knows what the Bible says about homosexuality. They know that. And they also hear us say, well, we love the sinner, we hate the sin. No, we don't. We do nothing to advance that we do love them. They have nothing from us that says, we want you to be introduced to Christ. And so I don't know. Somehow we got to get a hold of this thing quickly.
You know, there's hope for that. If you recall, back when Roe v. Wade was passed in 73, right, one of the laments, one of the accusations against Christians, we don't love, we don't care. Hey, why don't you take care of the babies then? Why don't you take care of these people? Well, guess what? We did. We started adopting. We started these programs and places where women could go. We would support them. We would take care of them. You don't hear the accusation anymore that we do not take care of, that we don't love women and that we don't love their children. So now the question is, how can we show love to this community, actually demonstrating it so that we can at least remove that accusation?
Yeah, well said. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I want you to deal with this subject. I notice in watching your show, you're one of the few communicators on television that uses the word sin a lot. And I want you to own up to it when we come back. We'll be right back with Todd Friel in just a moment. Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is our good friend Todd Friel. He hosts Wretched TV, seen on theDove TV weeknights at 9 o'clock, and I think one of the impacting and very influential television communicators of our day, and doesn't take long to get into his cadence of how he communicates, and it's very, not only entertaining, but very impacting. Todd, you use the word sin a lot, and when you do it, it's done in such a way that it's very provoking. Why do you use that word so much?
The Bible does.
Okay. That's enough. Okay, it was nice talking to Todd today. We'll see you next week.
But more than that, when we fail to understand our sin, appreciate how sinful we are.
Oh, we have a little bit of a Skype problem with him. Hold on, Todd. We've got to get the Skype worked out here. What are we doing there? Okay. Okay, I think you're okay. Go ahead. Oh, me talk. All right, we're working on Todd here. Just a second. Sorry about that. I apologize for that. Every once in a while, the Skype thing just doesn't work too well. Again, let me remind you, his show is called Wretched TV, and it's different. There's no question about it. It's very cutting edge, and you can see it weeknights at 9 o'clock on theDove TV, and if you have Roku, you can watch it there. If you are on the charter system, it's on Channel 18 in Jackson and Josephine County, and Channel 89 over in Klamath Falls. Here's a little bit of a clip of his show.
Every weeknight on theDove TV.
It's moronic!
Would you consider yourself to be a good dog?
We're on fire!
You're sort of ruining the mood.
Have you noticed?
Conservative theology with a dose of sarcasm.
You're intolerant, judgmental, and narrow-minded.
You're everything that's wrong in this world.
Oh!
Todd Friel.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, Grammys, don't call.
Wretched. 9 o'clock weeknights on theDove TV.
Boom, zing, pow.
Well, that's Todd. All right, I apologize for that. We had a little bit of a Skype meltdown. They're trying to fix that as we talk here. Again, 9 o'clock on theDove TV, and I think you'll find it pretty impactful. By the way, you might want to go to wretchedtv.com and communicate for him on the DVD and study guide series that he's put out. It's a DVD, deals with anxiety and the biblical cure. Maybe you're anxious, even though the scripture says be anxious for nothing. We are finding ourselves very, very anxious these days. You can go to his website, Wretched TV, and order that DVD, and it comes with a study guide, and I think you'll find that to be pretty good as well. All right, I think we're still trying to communicate with him there. I apologize for that. These things happen once in a while. So we're trying to get that solved as quickly as we can. In the meantime, let me give you a quick update on where we are with theDove. We are working pretty hard behind the scenes here in the new building, laying down the foundations of the various things that we have to do to get ready to move the broadcast facility. I've had a few emails lately and even phone calls. Where are you? What's going on? What's happening? We'll try to actually give you a little bit of a video update from the building coming up here in a day or so. But we have a team over there as we speak. We have a team over there right now working and getting things done. And not sure of a date yet when we're going to actually move, but it's going to be within the next couple of weeks, or several weeks, I should say, and we're going to do that. All right, I think through the magic of whatever, we used the word sin and the whole television system melted down. Hi, buddy. Welcome back.
Hey.
All right, so anyway, I heard half your answer, that the Bible uses the word sin, and then you just kind of went fuzzy from then on out, which is normal for you, isn't it?
It's the power of the airwaves. Okay, yeah. Perry.
Yeah.
This is my red Solo cup.
Okay.
If you had just finished drinking a gallon of water, and I offered you the water in this red Solo cup, how excited would you be about me and my generosity and my offer to you?
Yeah, well, not very much.
All right. Now, if you were just finished walking through a desert without any water, and I was standing there to greet you with my red Solo cup, how grateful would you be to me for offering you this life-giving water?
Very, very grateful.
So when it comes to our sin, if we're not remembering our sin, we're not remembering how kind our God has been to us in Jesus Christ, and we're not appreciating him the way that we should. Now, having said that, this is really important, especially, for those of us who are kind of conservative. We like to talk about sin, but if we just talk about sin, you're a worm, which you are. You're a wretch, which you are. You're horrific. You're depraved. All of that, which we are. If we just stay there, how miserable would we feel? We recognize our sin, but then when we turn to look at our God who died to save us from our sin and focus on him, then we stay humble but loved. And it keeps us in balance. It keeps us humble and yet joyful. And we need to be focusing even more on Jesus than on our sin so that we appreciate him and not wallow in our sin.
No, well said, Todd. And it's also been said that how can you really understand the blessings of grace if you don't understand the impact of sin?
Well, we can't. And these days, so many preachers, they want to defend God. They want to make him look like a nice guy. Well, it's not nice for God to overlook sin. We like it when rapists get caught and punished. We like it when murderers get caught and punished. And God sees way beyond that. He's going to get all liars, all blasphemers, all adulterers, all idolaters. Justice is loving, and justice will be served. And that's a wonderful message because God satisfies his own wrath, his own justice in his Son on our behalf. And while this is extreme these days in evangelical Christianity, some people would say that if God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it. Oh, no. His love is more amazing than that. God doesn't save lovable people. God saves people who actually hate him. A prince who saves rebels is an amazing ruler. God saves people who actually are his enemies, who shake our fists at God. And his amazing patience and loving kindness, he stoops to save not just lost, but rebels. That is an amazing God.
Amen to that. You do a lot of on-the-streets interviews, and they're really fascinating, especially some of the questions you ask students and others. Are you sensing a hunger on the street for truth?
There's such confusion about truth these days. Perry, it's so bizarre out there. These kids, I think, that are going to universities are so skeptical and so weary of hearing postmodernism being propagated that, hey, whatever you want to believe about whatever, that's true to you as long as it works for you. And I don't think they're really sensing that there's anybody who is willing to say, this is the truth. And so when we go to the campuses and lovingly talk to these young people, Perry, I'm telling you, they look you in the eyes like, where have you been? Why hasn't anybody told me this? Well, you speak with, like you actually believe it's the truth. I think if we're going to see revival in this country, it's going to happen on the university campuses.
Wow, that's powerful. How are you dealing with the influence of the Islamic faith?
Well, I don't want to get too whipped up about this, but it makes me bonkers that our government is so oblivious to the reality of what's happening. Now, we're all glad that all of a sudden some women like Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama are suddenly concerned about these 200 Christian girls who were kidnapped in Nigeria by Boko Haram. But where were they in the 22,000 other terrorist acts that have happened since September 11th? Where is the outrage also for the boys? And while I'm grateful that a spotlight is being put on these women, Harry, here's the reality. It's not an Islamic war against women. It is not an Islamic war against education. It is an Islamic war against Christians. So I'm grateful they're focusing on it. I just think they're a little out of focus.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that, because this highlights the fact that pluralism being what it is now around the world, and now in America, where you can believe in any God you want and all roads lead to heaven, has now become an incredible hurdle for Christians to get over. I mean, they just really don't know how to defend the faith past that.
Okay, how bad has multiculturalism become out there? Just sit down for this. Bill Maher just said on his TV show, we've got a big problem with Islam. Bill Maher even recognizes it, and he recognizes that women who are complaining about what's going on in Islam, but not willing to recognize it's actually Islam that's the problem, he rightly points out, you should be the one who is concerned about what is going on with these issues like liberty, and you're only focusing on one little issue and not willing to point out the problem. And the problem is, when the worldview is driven secularly, it's constantly coming into conflict with itself. It's constantly not making sense. So as we Christians watch the world fumble around with the new morality, don't be surprised when it doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. When you're interviewing students, it's interesting to note there was an article out just a couple of days ago that less than a third of the millennials who voted for Obama, both in 08 and 12, now don't like him. or trust him, I should say. Less than a third trust him now. More than 2/3 are turning their back on him. What do you think was the issue?
Well, I think, pocketbook tends to speak loudly. I just noticed, Perry, that the student debt loan of people who graduate from college is anywhere between $30,000 and $40,000. Wow, and that's gone up dramatically, while income has actually dropped for college graduates. So from a secular standpoint, money talks, and they are just seeing that this is an economy that's not happening, and the buck stops with him, even though he would like to suggest it stops with George Bush still.
The other thing is, I think did you do some street interviews with students and you asked them about Benghazi and they didn't even know what it was?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. When we go to the campus, this is even more shocking. There was a fellow, there's a fellow, Mark somebody, who goes out to the Santa Monica Pier in California. And he said, tell me, do you think if there had been stricter gun laws that John Wilkes Booth would not have assassinated Jesus Christ? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, stronger gun laws.
That's how far off everything is. Wow.
But hey, the kids feel good about themselves.
Wow. Do students graduating, do they have hope?
Well, here's an issue that I think is one that we Christians should be mindful of. This is going to be fascinating to see if Christian schools will continue to get accredited as a certified university when they're very Christian, which, if that happens, and there are some inklings that's already going on in Canada at Trinity University, the government is saying, sorry, we're not going to recognize that the kids who graduate from your schools can actually become lawyers. That could be a trend that happens to Christian universities. It's one I think we Christians need to keep our eyes on, that they are no longer accredited. Therefore, the people who graduate from them cannot get jobs in certified fields that require that accreditation. What will Christian parents do? What will the kids do? And what will these Christian universities do? This is one I think that is right around the corner, Perry. And it's really going to be a challenge to see what universities say, well, I guess we won't be accredited. We'll just crank out better workers, but we're not going to compromise our values. This is one to watch.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for the warning. Todd, you're a delight and an inspiration. Thank you, my friend. We're honored to carry your program. Keep up the good work, and let's have you on more often.
Congratulations, you guys, on winning your award. Well done. You deserved it. It was great.
Hey, thanks, pal. God bless. We'll see you next time, huh? Okay. Todd Friel, don't forget, Wretched TV weeknights at 9 o'clock here on theDove TV. And communicate with him. Wretched TV, and order up the DVT about anxiety and the biblical cure. I think that'll be a great resource for you. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.